Spring is in full swing and the sewing bug has bit me again. After coming back from my trip, I was excited to get started on another sewing project. I ordered a few yards of 100% linen fabric since I have been having a hard time trying to thrift fabric. Thrifting fabric has always been a bit of a slippery slope because I always end up looking at other stuff I don't need in the process. I ended up getting 3 yards of this beautiful green linen and 3 yards of this rich dark brown linen. I love working with linen fabric. I feel like it has a nice drape to it, I love the texture, and it's a breathable fabric that is perfect for the spring and summer. When it first arrived, I wasn't sure what I was going to make from it. Originally, I wanted to make a dress from the green fabric, but then I looked at my wardrobe and tried to determine what I needed to make more outfit combinations. A green dress is definitely still on my list of things to sew, but it can wait a little longer. After combing through my wardrobe, I realized I didn't have many mini skirts. I hopped on Etsy in search of the perfect pattern and found one. I've been sewing for years, but recently I decided to take my sewing seriously and learn new techniques and follow patterns instead of winging it. Since I'm in the process of learning, I mostly look at patterns that have YouTube videos to show me the steps. I didn't need them for this skirt, but having the videos just reassures me and makes me more confident in my sewing. This translates to me not second-guessing myself and taking twice as long. Another thing I will mention is that once spring rolled around, I didn't want to be stuck inside sewing, but since it's been rainy here lately, it's been nice to have a hobby to turn to for those rainy days. It's important to note that I have good days and bad days with sewing. It's perfectly fine to take a break, but I have found it to be beneficial to finish no matter what. For the first skirt, I decided to try out the green fabric. I started with the green fabric because I wasn't sure I liked the shade of green and figured if I messed up, at least it wouldn't be with the brown fabric. I will say that by the end of it, I realized that this was a green I liked. Sometimes it's hard to tell in different lighting. Halfway through sewing the skirt, I ran out of thread and had to make a quick trip to the store in the middle of the night. Going to Walmart in the middle of the night was not on my 2025 bingo card, but here we are. This is the progress I made that night. I was sewing the channels for the elastic to go through the waistband. Inside, I left it open so I could feed the elastic through and get into it in the future if I ever wanted to make it tighter or looser. This was a great tip recommended by the pattern maker. After another day of sewing, I had completed the green skirt and immediately started on the brown one. I love finding simple patterns because it makes it easier to add your own flair. I wanted to add ruffles to the skirt to give it something different. Now that I know the pattern better, making the brown skirt was a lot more fun. Ruffles also vary in a few different ways. You can have some that are tighter or looser, longer or shorter, vary in thickness, and even in the way that they are sewn can completely switch up the look. My style is very earthy with romantic aspects, and I felt like the color and fabric were very earthy, so I wanted to add ruffles as a touch of romanticness to it. Alright, so I have each layer already sewn and ready to go. So I have my waistband, I have the first tier, and then this is the second tier, and then this is technically just a ruffle. It's not necessarily another tier, but I just kind of want to see what these 3 pieces look like. From what I measured, I think this is going to be like an inch or 2 shorter than I would like. I always wear shorts underneath my skirts, but just to be on the safe side, I went ahead and just made this ruffle. I wanted an extra ruffle at the end, but I'm just going to see how the 3 pieces look first. Hopefully it's long enough that I have the option to add this or not if I want to. I don't know if it's going to be too ruffly. I don't exactly know what this is going to look like. I have an idea in my head, and if that idea stays true, then I will 100% attach these two. And if for some reason it's just too ruffly and it's not exactly what I'm going for, then I'll leave this off. I started early in the morning sewing the skirt and ended up finishing around 12 a.m. midnight. I don't recommend doing this. I recommend breaking it up, but I had a cookout to go to the next day, and I really wanted to wear my new creation to it. It's been a few days, but I have finally finished both of the skirts, so let me show you guys. So here are the 2 finished skirts. We have the green one and then the brown one. So let me talk you through what I ended up doing, because as you can see, these look like 2 completely different skirts, because they are 2 completely different skirts using the same pattern, because like I've always said, I like to start with a basic pattern and then add my own flair. Let's start with the green one. I will try these on for you in just a second, but I just wanted to talk to you guys through some details and through some mistakes that I made. So this skirt is pretty true to the pattern. I did mess up when I was trying to adjust the pattern. I don't know what I was thinking, but instead of taking 3 inches from here, I took 3 inches from the bottom tier. So of course it made it too small, and it ended up just being a ruffle instead of a whole tier. I did go ahead and follow the pattern. The pattern did have a suggestion to add lace to the bottom. So I did add lace to the bottom. I was going to add it up here too, and I still might, but I kind of regret adding the lace because it makes it a little less versatile. In the pattern that I got in her tutorial, her lace matched her skirt really well. So it wasn't like it was an accent color. It just kind of blended in with the skirt, whereas this adds an accent color. So it makes it not as wearable as it could be. Usually the first time that I do a pattern, it either comes out really well or I learn a lot. This is the pattern that I learn a lot. Let me put this on for you so you guys can understand what this looks like and get a feel for it. All right, so here's the skirt on. As you guys can see, it is pretty short, but I like my skirts very short just because I myself am short, and so it elongates my legs. And I always wear shorts underneath my shorts, so it doesn't really matter how short they are. So the first skirt is complete. I think in the future, I will either modify this or just make a completely new one, more geared towards the brown skirt that I made that I'm gonna show you guys now. Moving on to the most perfect skirt you've ever seen, the brown skirt. Now here's what I did differently. 1, I took the measurement that I wanted to shorten the skirt from the top tier and not the bottom tier. So the top tier, I took off 3 inches, and then on the bottom tier, I did it true to size, and then I added a ruffle at the bottom. Also, with this ruffle at the bottom, the ruffle isn't tucked underneath, it's actually on the top. So it gives it a bit more of a frilly effect that you can see the top of the ruffle. And this is something that I haven't done before, so this was completely experimental, but once I started pinning it, I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. And to make this ruffle, this is not in the pattern, so I had to draft it myself. What I ended up doing, I believe I did 4.5 inches was the measurement, and then for the length, I did 3 times the length of the last tier. I think I should have done 4 times the length of the last tier, because if I wanted it super gathered and ruffly like I do in the front, in the back it kind of gets a little bit looser because I didn't have enough to keep that ruffle up. So I think if you want it super ruffly like it is in the front, you're gonna want to do 4 times the length of the last tier to get that super ruffly look. Otherwise, if you want a super ruffly look in the front and then a little less in the back, because who cares about the back, you can just do 3 times the measurement. And honestly, it's a lot easier to gather. Once you have that much stuff that you're trying to gather, it gets messy, strings break, it's a lot. Also, I learned that using cotton thread is not what you want to do when you do gathers. You definitely want to use a synthetic thread when you do gathers. I don't know what it is about the cotton, but it just breaks on me every time I try to use it to gather. I did use cotton for a lot of this
to sew a lot of this, but once I realized that on the gathering part it wasn't working, I decided to start using synthetic for the rest of it, just so that it would be sturdy. This is what I want the green skirt to look like. I am kind of bummed that it didn't turn out that way, but at the same time, if I didn't do this first, I would have never learned to do this. It's always recommended in the sewing world to draft first before you sew on your good fabric, and I completely understand why, but I just don't have the attention span for that. I want to make something, and I want to make something knowing that it might be a finished product that I could potentially wear, versus sewing with something that I know I'm not going to wear. It's never going to come out good because I'm not going to put the attention and everything that I need to in it. Which is fine because I at least have this skirt, which is still wearable. I can still wear it out. It looks great with this top. But if I had sewn it with something else, then I wouldn't have ever worn it. Anyways, I had to go through the growing pains of this to end up with this. So let me try this on for you guys. So this is the skirt on. I don't have it styled. I will probably style these in another video. So if you guys want to see that, don't forget to subscribe. But this skirt is definitely shorter than the other skirt. And that's completely fine. Again, I wear shorts underneath. I will say that the next time that I make this, I won't take 3 inches off of the first tier. I will probably only take 2 inches off and have a whole nother inch that I can work with, so it's not super short, but I still love it. Honestly, I kind of love the short length. Also to add, this skirt reminds me of like a pirate skirt. It also reminds me of like a mini prairie skirt. You always see like the prairie skirts with like the frills and everything, but they're always super long, and this is kind of like a shortened version of it. And I love it so much. I actually wore this to a little cookout with my family, and I felt so good in it. It felt really secure. I did things differently on the inside when sewing this, so it feels like a real garment versus like something that's handmade. So next on my sew list, I want to do some ruffly shorts. I want to do it in the green and in the brown. I'm really happy with how the skirts turned out. I'm excited to create more now. It's already spring now, so I'm trying to get my spring wardrobe together. I've done a lot of thrifting because I'm still kind of having trouble sewing tops, and there's a lot of like little pieces to tops that I don't feel comfortable sewing just yet. So I've been focusing on bottoms right now. So what I'm also thinking is doing some thrift flips for some tops and stuff like that to make them my own, to make them what I want without spending a bunch of money. And I also get some sewing in there as well. Anyways, spring is here, and I'm really trying to finish up these projects so I can just go out and live my best life in my little home sewn clothing. I really wish that I had started this a lot sooner. I wish I had gotten the urge to sew in the winter so that by the time spring was around, I could have just been enjoying my clothes. But it's perfectly fine because I have the cutest skirt now, and I'm already working on my next projects. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.